Yes, this is The Day by the Manic Street Preachers, released on 7th of November, and anybody out there who's got the Soul Mining album by The will recognise that. Joining us in the studio from the Manic Street Preachers, Nicky White. Good to see you, Nick.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Likes our speakers.
Yeah, was that you?
You sounded good.
You like it? Okay,
Nice
get
and
those
warm.
in the studio. Get a pair of these in the studio when you're next there to have a listen. So you brought all the singles out, haven't you, in a box set as well?
Yeah, you know, 38 singles is a hell of a compilation, really. Right from when we started with Motown Junk 21 years ago.
Wow,
God.
wow.
Right up to now, this is the day. Just feels like I'm a completist, you know. It's like finishing a Panini album in the 70s. It has to be done.
It does look great as well. I've just been looking on the website. It's really been nicely put together. Have you all had a hand in that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm particularly the one who kind of is interested in the design side of it. We did this brilliant photo shoot down in Big Pit, down in South Wales. They're really happy and friendly to have us there, and it's everything: glamour, lipstick, brass bands. Miners, that's the Manics.
There's 38 videos as well, so it's really, as you say, a complete thing, no question about it.
Yes. I think if we're going to come back, you know, when we do come back in a few years' time, this is a good way of drawing a line in the sand, because the music industry has changed so radically since we started, you know, in the cassette single days, that we'll come back as a different beast.
And you're playing them as well live at the O2, aren't you, in December?
We are, all 38 of them.
Not in order, though.
No, I think we'd have heart attacks because the early ones are so fast.
Yeah.
That we'd be doing Tommy Cooper on stage and keeling over. But it's a hell of an undertaking.
Yeah.
You know? I think the most songs we've ever done is 24, 25.
Because you wouldn't have played some of those songs.
No.
I mean, you would have done at the time, but you wouldn't have played some of those songs for sort of 15, 20 years,
We
would you?
haven't played a couple of them, you know. Jim's trying to remember the words has been pretty hilarious in the studio. What was that one again? I'm going to have to get a teleprompter for the first time.
How much do you have to rehearse for something like that?
This one is going to be a lot. We've just started digging into it now, and it's kind of visual, technical extravaganza, you know. It's
38 songs, so long. That's going to be a long concert.
Well, there's an interval as well, so the fans can wander off and, you know, do whatever they want to do, and we can have a massage and an ice cream.
That's
fantastic.
By that time, Wales might be world champions.
Yeah.
You never know.
Oh, please don't curse me.
You're so tense about it. You're telling us in the break there, but we do understand. And
Of course,
when it's your team,
any sports fan does, doesn't they? If you really care passionately about something, and it means so much to the country, you know, it's 3.5 million to. It's genuinely that cliche of lifting a nation, you know, it really has done.
So is that the vibe? I mean, I've taken you've been at home. What is that the vibe at the moment? Is everybody very tense, very excited?
There's that mixture of, you know, the drunk ones are like, we're going to win, and the realistic ones are really tense.
Are you tempted to fly out for the final if they get there?
Every time I think yes, I am, but I think, no, let's just get the same.
Yeah, but obviously you'll make that decision, I suppose, Saturday afternoon after the game.
Yes,
if they're there,
I will.
You might, yeah.
I could well do it, you know. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime shot.
It's a special team, isn't it? I mean, on the face of it, it's a young side, and they seem fairly nerveless the way they play. They're quite bold, and that's made a difference, isn't it?
Oh, they've been extraordinary, because I think most Welsh fans at the start would say, oh, you know, even some of these players you just wouldn't expect to be in the squad, let alone the team. But Gatland's taken them away and trained them to death. Yeah, and they're such a tight bunch, and they've just been. It's like I said, to represent Wales, I think they've done an amazing job in every facet, really.
Must be a double pleasure seeing England, you know, fall apart like the way we did, really.
To be honest with you, the England side of old just had really good blokes. You had people like Richard Hill and Phil Vickery, John Oates, stuff like that, Matt Dawson, Greenwood. Now, they're genuinely brilliant rugby players and good blokes. I have to say this bunch are particularly unlikable.
Okay, it's fair enough.
Well, I think that, you know, a lot of people have kind of felt like that in some cases,
Sure,
you know, which is not helping, is it? Certainly when they get back.
Well, the publicity wasn't great. Sam Warburton, the captain, somebody tweeted me a thing earlier saying there's an unofficial anthem, and it's #1 in the comedy charts. But I just clicked on the link that he gave me, but it was just a bloke singing in a pub.
Really?
It's just how it grows on you. So I don't know if are you aware of this song?
Kind of. It was on a show we have called Scrum 5, you know. The joke is that Warburton is the best thing since sliced bread, of course.
Of course he is. Yeah, that's a good point.
But he does seem like a really solid boy, doesn't he?
Now, our tech op from Monday to Wednesday...
He's gutted he's not here today. He's a big fan of the
He's a
band.
massive fan. Oh, for goodness sake. Look at these questions. He sent me 5 very long questions. We've got, I think, I know you're a TalkSport listener. These are Alan Brazil-style questions.
Yeah.
They're so long that by the time you get to the end of it, the bloke's forgotten what you've even asked.
These are from Ugo, aren't they? Yeah. So you're going to just pick one at random for Nicky.
Shall I pick the long... Yeah, I'll pick the longest one just for a laugh.
Actually. It sounds like stalker question.
This bit's got a bit of history in it as well. My friend Matt and I have been to see the Manics twice, and we've come up with a theory that the Manics subconsciously oscillate between punk mode and Motown soul mode for each album. If you look at their discography, Generation Terrorist had punk stylistics, and then the next album had a
Stylistics?
Yes. Don't start doing that.
Motown?
It had a very explicit Motown feel to it, etc., etc. Their recent album last year was Sink of Symphonic
You're
Pop
becoming
Soul.
Bob Harris.
So our theory is the next album, will it be punky?
It's hard to say because I think...
Just say no.
I mean, he makes some valid points. James is a huge Motown Phil Spector fan.
Yeah.
And, undoubtedly when we started, we were totally obsessed with The Clash, and we, to the point of almost mimicking them in, in a tribute kind of way. So the next album will just be different. It's the next and final leap for us as a band.
I do quite like these. I mean, they're so technical. I don't know what he's talking about, but this one is, what was it like working with Steve Albini on The Journal for the Plague Lovers album?
Well, that was amazing because Steve records live and he records to tape, and bands just don't do it there anymore, so that was a thrill.
See, the answers are interesting. The questions might be dumb.
The question back, he knows they're going to be good answers. Go, let's chuck another one in while it's going well.
It's going well. Hold on. Yes, Nicky Wire and Richey James are 2 of the greatest lyricists ever.
Oh my God,
up there with Scott Walker. What are your inspirations for writing? And then he goes on to say what his are. I use the Holy Bible as a resource. I shouldn't laugh.
Not the book, obviously the album.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I use the Holy Bible as a resource tool for my government and politics A-level, as it was filled with great informative political...
He failed, by the way.
I can hear the listeners drifting away. I mean, inspiration is an easy thing. I got to be honest with you. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much exciting stuff to look at and read and whatever consume. There's never a problem writing words.
We got 3 in there, Ugo. You were pleased with that.
The actual one I haven't asked yet, which I think actually is a genuinely interesting question.
Go on, then.
What was it like playing to Fidel Castro and meeting him?
That was truly bizarre. It was like being in a film, like being in Forrest Gump. I still look back at it and think, was that me? Because we did this gig in Cuba, and it was an insane... The security and the kind of... The way to stop the fans getting on were giant potted plants. So you walked on stage and they had huge potted plants instead of a fence. And then we were told sort of Fidel's watching, and you look up and he's there sort of drumming along.
Could you see the cigar smoke?
Yeah.
And he came backstage, he just said, yes, my boys, he said, the drums were louder than war.
Well, blimey. That's a good quote.
He spoke English, which is good.
He spoke amazing English, and he was very erudite. He was very kind of started talking about Wales straight away, and he knew his stuff.
Was that a kind of random? How did that come about? Was he a fan, or were you invited? Well, how did you get to Cuba?
We just after This Is My Truth. We played the Millennium Stadium on Millennium Night to 66,000, which was just you're not going to get any better than that. So we thought we'd just launch the next album in Cuba and do something totally different, in a different way. And we had no idea that he was going to be there.
Did he say to you, Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey are the future for the Wales team? I think Gary Speed's building the team around him.
It's all going well. It's all going well for Welsh sport, isn't it? I mean, that little run that Gary Speed's got him into at the end of qualifying, which is up the old coefficient, and it's good news.
I've met Gary a few times, and he's genuine. He was a world-class player for Wales. He never shied away. He turned up every game when other people would pull out. He really
mentioning any names.
Yeah,
we know you mean.
We do know you mean.
He's got a good group. I mean, on paper, it's nearly a Premiership side at times, and that should be enough to at least get in the playoffs, really. And there's some with Bale and Ramsey. That's not bad, is it?
You were a pretty decent player in back in the day, weren't you? You had trials at Spurs, or?
Yeah, I played in the Welsh youth side a couple of times and was captain of the district. And but I realised there was a point when, you know, I got into Morrissey and started putting daffodils in the back of my jeans.
Yeah, wouldn't go down well at a football club.
Going down well in the
What
dressing
Peter Shreves would have made of that, maybe. Quite interesting. Well, Nicky's coming today. He's got daffodils in his hair. We don't know what's going on. And
It would have been me and Pat Nevin, wouldn't it?
Mark Falco's had a word with him. Yeah.
Mickey Hazard's
Yeah,
getting in around.
Mickey's had a word. Glenn's had a word. Glenn quite likes it. For some
Yeah,
reason.
he thinks it's good karma.
You mentioned Pat Nevin there because he's a mad music fan, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Been to see the band and
He loves his stuff. He's a genuine fan. And I mean, I got nothing. There was also a point with football and cricket because I love cricket. And I just realised, you've got to put so much dedication, you know, and just not a naturally fit person. You know, I was like Glenn, just pointing, you know, you go there, I'll pass it to you, hands on hips.
And golf? You still playing plenty of golf?
I haven't played golf because I nearly dislocated my shoulder last time I played, which is not good for the band.
No.
But I still love the sport, you know, absolutely addicted to it.
So finally, so you're going to take you'll be taking a break after this album and this gig, and but you'll be back. You think?
Yeah, I think we will. We got this great studio in Cardiff, which is just like it's like my dad's shed he used to have in his allotment, really, you know, just a kind of place to seal yourself off against the world. And we'll just be, you know, writing songs, watching a lot of telly.
Fantastic. Well, enjoy the rugby.
Thanks a lot, mate.
at the weekend,
yeah, we'll be
Nicky.
thinking of you.
Good
Thanks
to
a
see you.
lot.
You can win a signed copy of the Manics box set of all those singles. It looks absolutely fantastic. Go to the website and have a look. Answer the question, and it could be yours. We'll play out one of those singles now. And we're back after the news and sports headlines.